And welcome to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining us tonight. We begin with a frightening and terrifying occurrence out of Oklahoma. A mother loses 2 of her 3 children. It began in January. April, Lydia's 12-year-old daughter allegedly stabbed her 9-year-old brother Xander to death. Lydia said her daughter has always been a good girl. Always. So what went wrong? Lydia believes her daughter snapped and went into a demonic rage. The mother says triggered by medication the child had been taking. Joining me now, spiritual life coach, Goddess Jess, pastor and journalist, Dr. Ruth Allen Olison, and therapist, Dr. Christine Belliard. Dr. Belliard, let's begin with you first. When you see a case like this and a mother says a demonic rage, your thoughts, obviously you're from a clinical, scientific perspective, your thoughts on what happened here. And she said it was triggered by medication.
Yes, so as a therapist, I need to listen to everything. Whatever you're bringing in, you know more about your daughter, the situation. So I don't want to just dismiss this and say, oh, well, what's happening, you know, clinically. So if there is something spiritual, I need to know about their practices, their beliefs.
So that is something that you also believe in.
I think a good therapist, for sure, we need to know what's informing their perspectives, their narratives, their understanding of what's happening. Also, I love that the mother brought in, hey, she is on new medication or a different medication, because medication management is key. So it's important to, for a good physician, a good psychiatrist, to ensure that people know that there are side effects, that you may need to watch your children. Even though you hear this mom saying, she's a good girl, and I don't doubt it. And so I feel my heart goes out to this mom, to the other sibling, to the sibling who committed this act, and of course to the young boy, because this has so many effects, and this really is a child. She really, I agree, I think that she really was informed by something. It is the medication, and I know we have other experts to talk about the demonic part, but I do think that it's critical to hear everybody's side of the story and not just banish this young girl. We need to know more.
And is it possible that a medication can take you down that path?
Well, I just want to say, most of us have taken some kind of medication, and we have maybe a funny story around it, like, oh, I was loopy or what have you. Imagine being 12 years old. Your body's not fully developed, your brain's not. So yes, she can definitely be influenced and impacted by a medication and its effects. So it's important that we don't just say, no, 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 she had other issues. And I know there are probably other things there, but medication does have huge effects, and a lot of times we don't always inform our clients, our patients, of how deep that these medication side effects can truly be.
And Jess, how important is it not to just rule out the spiritual aspect of what we have going on here? We can remember a time, Dr. Ruth, back in the medieval period, also in the 1800s, where people would mistake psychological problems for demon possession. But then there were also some legitimate cases that the Catholic Church found, and there are still exorcisms today. So how important is it not to rule out the spiritual angle in this situation with this little girl in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's very important, and I agree totally with what she said. Whenever you have situations like this, usually the first thing that they do is they go to some form of medication. And it is going to tamper with, if there is something spiritually going on, it may make it even worse. So, you know, people do, when I've had clients for myself at the Sweet Love Sanctuary, they have self-created demons as well. That does exist.
Now, what does that mean for the average person who's not aware of that terminology?
So someone who has experienced any kind of trauma or like a post-traumatic, you know, experience, they can have something where, depending on what's going on inside of them, you could create certain things inside of your head. And depending on where your spirit is, where your personal spirit is, how fearful, how safe you feel, all those types of things, they can, you know, kind of play a little story into your head, and then when something triggers you externally, you have a reaction. Now, usually you don't hear things where someone actually kills someone or something like that, and this was very unfortunate, but I would have personally probably put them in some sort of healing journey to supplement along with going to therapy, how we do at the sanctuary, or, you know, giving them spiritual baths and things like that that we perform to help soothe that spirit of the person, you know, because it may be inside. Let's bring in
Dr. Ruth really quick. Dr. Ruth, if you have a child like this, and then you get her back into your custody until her trial, and likely in the juvenile justice system, would you bring in your spiritual advisor, your religious leader as well to try and talk to this child and assess this situation along with someone like Dr. Belliard?
Absolutely. Medical, psychological counseling, spiritual counseling, because the demonic is real. I'm not one that talks about it a lot, but there are very evil forces, and in children in particular sometimes are I'm going to say it like this, used to do bad things. And
are they more susceptible and open?
Yes.
Well, of course, I think so. And we also need to, if you just look at almost any advertisement for medication, the side effects are longer, the list of side effects are longer than what the medicine takes care of. And one of those things is suicidal tendencies or violent tendencies or depression and all this. You took the medicine to cure one thing, but it created 5 or 6 other problems.
And do you think, Dr. Belliard, if your child is behaving different and something that you've never seen before and can't recognize, would you recommend bringing both parties in, both doctors as well as spiritual leaders and religious family members or religious leaders in the community?
100%. It's a systemic issue. I love that you brought up the effects of medication, how deep it runs, and so we need to really have in those that have prescribed the medicines, the parents who are administering the medications, and anyone else that has any influence on this child. And sometimes we don't think, oh, they won't really ever do anything. Don't ever say that. So if you do have knives in the house, guns in the house, make sure that these things are protected and out of the way of your children, because they truly are not functioning in their total being, right? So that's just really important. So don't assume like, oh no, she's always been good, there will never be an issue. No. And then also don't just allow the kids to be alone. They need you right there with them. So it's important, instead of saying, oh, well, she needs time alone, or let the kids go upstairs, I'm tired, that's actually the time to lean in, really, so you can monitor what's going on and see if there's something different. And if there is, don't wait. Call the doctor, call and get some assistance, 211. Just even if you're like, I'm not sure about this, I'd rather you be safe than sorry.
All right, thank you all for joining.